Are you tired of feeling like your group projects are more chaotic than saving the world from an evil AI? Well, fear not. This ultimate survival guide will make your life easier. The Avengers Age of Ultron movie has everything you need to know to get through that next group project. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Professor Kathy, and I help business students get better grades in less time, and I teach using a Netflix style of learning, and this week I'm watching The Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, imagine harnessing the power of the Earth's mightiest heroes to conquer your next group project. In this video, we'll dive deep into the epic movie Avengers Age of Ultron to help you uncover invaluable teamwork tips to help you survive that next group project. Now in this scene, Hawkeye is in the forest with his bow and arrow trying to get the bad guys, and something flashes in front of him. And again. And he looks up and he sees Wanda's twin brother, Pietro Maximoff, who says, "Didn't see that coming." So tip number one, you need to reread the required portion 3 times. First, read it when you first get your group project. Go through, read the entire project, make sure you understand what's being asked. Read it a second time and go through the group project again, now that you know what it is you're supposed to be looking for. And then finally, a third time, once you're about ready to submit your project, read the required one last time to make sure you haven't missed anything. I don't know how many times I've had students hand in group projects and they totally missed a part that was required and they gave up easy marks. So remember, read the required 3 times. Now in this scene, Iron Man's flying through the sky. He accidentally bounces off of a force field and he says a bad word, and Captain America says language. And Iron Man says to the rest of the Avengers, is no one else going to deal with the fact that Cap just said language? And they give him a hard time throughout the whole movie. So tip number 2, watch your language. In other words, check your spelling and grammar. As a professor, it never ceases to amaze me, again, how many group projects I see that are submitted and they're filled with spelling and grammatical errors. Make sure you run it through a spell check using Microsoft Word, or if you're using Microsoft Excel, like all my good accounting students. And if you're submitting your project through a different piece of software, you can just copy and paste all the text and put it into Word and use that spell check, or put it into Grammarly. But make sure that you check your spelling so that you don't lose easy marks. Now in this scene, Captain America approaches one of the bad guys, and one of the bad guys says, "Oh, you're gonna have to be faster than that." And before you know it, Captain America uses a shield to knock the guy out, and he knocks one of the lenses out of the glasses, and he hits the ground before he can even finish his sentence. So tip number 3, budget your time. You're gonna have to be faster. Everything always takes much longer than you think it's gonna take. In fact, a good rule of thumb is to aim to finish the group project 2 days before it's due. Then, when everything goes sideways, as it does, you have a little bit of wiggle room to try to budget your time. It's difficult because you're working with other people's schedules, so just schedule those group meetings to finish up wrapping up 2 days before it's due so that you do have some wiggle room. Now in this scene, Agent Hill approaches Iron Man and Captain America, and they're working away in the cockpit, and Agent Hill refers to Iron Man as the boss. He says, "No, I'm not the boss. I'm just the one that pays for everything. He's the boss," pointing to Captain America. So tip number 4, figure out who is the boss. You need to choose a team leader. You're going to need to make sure that everybody stays on task, every task is assigned, and you all agree on when you should have your group meetings. And these group meetings can be organized with group chat or WhatsApp or whatever else you use, but there needs to be one person who manages all the group meetings and tasks to make sure things get moving along. They make sure everybody does what they're supposed to, because if nobody's the boss, nothing gets done. Now in this scene, Agent Hill is talking to Captain America, and she's describing the special powers of the Maximoff twins. But she's using a lot of really technical scientific terms. Captain America just looks at her and she says, "Well, yeah, he's fast, she's weird." So tip number 5, be clear and concise. Do not use flowery sentences. You're not impressing anyone. Plus, I find with a group project in particular, when students are working together, they sometimes are trying to impress other members of the group. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but when I read a group project, I can tell that one person wrote one paragraph and a different person wrote a different paragraph. It just does not flow well. So play it safe, be clear and concise. Well, good job. We're halfway there to becoming Captain America of teamwork, but make sure you stay to the end, because once you finish a group project, you're probably going to have to make a presentation. So we'll get into that at the end. I hate presentations. Moving on. Now in this scene, Tony Stark and Dr. Bruce Banner, the two smartest guys on the Avengers, they're working together, going through all of these screens and all of these papers on the ground, and they're running experiments, trying different things, and they're trying to brainstorm how to solve the problem. So tip number 6, you need to get organized. If it's a group project, it's meant to be too much work for one person. There's going to be a lot of information that you're gathering. So make sure you gather all the information that you need, you organize it into sections or categories, and please cite your sources as you go, because if you have to go back and do it later, it's just far too tedious. Because working with a lot of information, you really need to be organized. In this scene, Captain America is giving a pep talk to the rest of the team of the Avengers, and he says, you know, we've got one job to do. You get hurt, get back up. If you get killed, walk it off. So tip number 7, when working on a group project, persevere. If things get tough, just walk it off. There will come a time when your group members are not getting along. It happens all the time. People are disagreeing on how things should be done. You really need to stick with it and persevere. Do not run to your professor every time you have a little argument. Only wait until things get really bad. Try to resolve it yourself. In fact, this is a huge life lesson. The best job references that I've ever given to students and former students came from them persevering through a difficult group project. So tip number 7, just walk it off. Now in this scene, Captain America says to the Avengers, okay guys, you've got 3 minutes, get what you need. And then they all disperse and grab their artillery and suits and whatever they need to get the job done. So tip number 8, stick to the basics. Just get what you need. Look at the rubric or instructions are required. There's probably 4 or 5 things that you must focus on. Well, then focus on those 4 or 5 things. And then when you get to the end, if you do have some extra time, put in the little extras to get some bonus marks, but do not miss out on the basics. Now in this scene, Hawkeye says to the Avengers, okay, we're all clear here. And Captain America, who's in a different area, says, we are not clear. We are very not clear. So tip number 9, make sure you proofread to make sure that you've got everything all clear. And what I mean by that is not just checking the spelling and the grammar, but read the entire submission from front to back. Whether it's an essay or PowerPoint slide deck, make sure that it all flows together. And it doesn't look like one person wrote that section and a different person wrote that section. So make sure you proofread the whole thing before you send it in. Now in this scene, the Avengers are getting attacked by the bad guys. They're getting attacked from all sides. They're working in a circle, fighting off the bad guys. And what I love about this scene, not only is the slow-mo kind of fun, but they're also working together to fight for one common cause. So tip number 10, work as a team. 2 + 2 does not always equal 4. You all have different strengths and weaknesses. You all have different experiences, and you draw on the strengths of all of your individual team members so that when you're working together as a team, what you produce as a group is much better than what you could have done on your own. So tip number 10, work as a team. Now at this point, I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is I'm thinking your group project's starting to look a little bit more manageable and hopefully in good shape. But the bad news is I bet you have to make a group presentation. Nobody likes making presentations, not even me, and I do this for a living. I don't like making presentations. So if you've had a bad experience making a presentation, please let me know in the comments. Now, while you're all comfy on the couch watching the Avengers, let's watch the 3rd movie in the series, Avengers Infinity War. Now, this movie has all you need to know to get through a group presentation. We'll see you next time.